Welcome to this Roll for Crit preview. It's time for you and your friends to enter the brawl and see who comes out on top in Iconoclash. The setup you see right now is actually for the Castle Clash set, but this is going to be a game in which there'll be multiple base games available depending on what's available, whether you're watching the preview or once the game comes out, as well as standalone characters, all of which you can mix and match to have whatever setup you desire.
That's right. So we are looking at the 4 characters that come in the Castle Clash set. Some of them here include Lilac Everdon and the Conquist Otter. So a lot of fun there. Everybody's going to have their own personal board, which gives you some info on their background, strategy, and some of their skills and weaknesses, sort of how you're meant to play those characters as the game goes on. And everyone is, of course, going to have their own personal deck. Each character has their own, and that will come inside a little tuck box that everybody has. So very easy, just hand this out and you're going to have everything you need right inside there. And essentially on your turn, you're going to be able to move around the field here and attack the other players. And everybody has a life total to start of 25, and you need to do enough damage to everybody else to take them out. You can see this is set up for 4 players, but you could play with 3 or just 2, and there are some rules variants therein, but for the most part, the rules are going to be the same no matter how many players there are. Each turn, you're going to get 2 movement tokens, and you can bank those up to some extent. You can spend these in between your attacks, so before or after, but not during. And for each one you spend, you get to move your character in a space either orthogonally or diagonally. And you'll see, of course, there are types of platforms here. Some of those platforms you can move through. Some of them you cannot. Obviously, this one is impassable. Right over there, he has an example of one that you cannot go up and down through. It's a little bit too thick. Ideally, you're going to want to move within position of another fighter so that you can actually attack them. Of course, some attacks are ranged, some are melee. The card will tell you. Here is a look at a basic attack card. Every character is going to have a basic card, which means that it comes into your hand at the end of every turn. So you're always going to have that available to you, which is kind of nice. It usually has something to do with their core strategy or special unique mechanic. And it's going to show a damage number over here, how much damage you'll do to them, as well as a launch number. In this case, it's 0, but if it's more than 0, that's how much you get to push that character in a certain direction. And you can launch them in any direction. They'll move that number of spaces or until they hit, for instance, a wall they can't get through or another character. 2 characters can't share the same space. And you'll also see there are 3 little boxes here with different symbols and text in them. That's because on your turn, when you play one of these, you get to choose one of those to activate. It'll give it some kind of a boost, maybe add to its attack, allow you to draw a card. Could have all kinds of different effects. Some of them might require you to spend one of these power tokens, so that's another currency that you're going to want for the really powerful abilities in there. However, your opponent is going to have the chance to play a defense card, and that's going to allow them to, again, choose one of those 3 abilities, and it will negate this card in some way. Probably lower the defense, but maybe it'll let them escape, move somewhere else, give them some kind of a stat boost. Again, every character has very different types of card effects. You have to take 2 actions on your turn, and most of the time that's going to be 2 attack cards. Moving doesn't count as an action, but sometimes if you're in a jam, you can discard a card. It has a little number in the corner called its boost value. That will get you some extra movement tokens to use, or if you're really stuck and you don't have any cards in hand, you're going to have to draw the top card of your deck and take some damage. So you don't want to run through your deck too fast, because if you end up going through all of it 2 times and you have to reshuffle your discard pile, you lose the game. That's it. So this is a game that encourages you to get out there and attack each other and not to hang back and try to play defensively too much.
Speaking of hanging back, that means dealing with the stage. Because before you even get to do anything, after you draw your movement, you're going to draw one of these cards. And it tells you how the stage is going to change a little bit. It could be, for example, this adds items, but also drops you. So anything in the air floats and hits the ground. If you happen to be over a gap, well, you've actually left the board. We'll get to leaving the board in a second. It could also make zones that are helpful. You'll roll a die that randomly chooses one. And of course, things that are painful. If you've ever played a game like this, you know there are fun little hazards like that. Boards can also just come with their own hazards. In this case, these swords, for example. Should you ever enter a space with those swords, they'll do damage. If at any reason, whether it be through the dropping or if someone is able to send you flying and you leave the board, you've been edged off. You take 2 damage, but then you respawn your character. Anywhere there is a spawn point, it's these flags. And once again, remember, you cannot occupy the same place. Now, these boxes here, let's actually go over those items. If on your turn, not outside of it, you end a movement on that space, you get to remove this crate and draw an item card. These are strong cards similar to the ones you'll have in your hand. They have awesome abilities, but after you use them, they are discarded. So they're more one-time effect things, but they can help you turn the tides of battle.
Yeah, on everybody's turn at the beginning, you're going to get one of those environment cards. So it's likely every turn there's going to be new items. Is probably the most common one, although there's different ones for each board and stage that you're using, so that could change. And then after that, like we said, the different zones and everything like that.
Other than that, you're going to fight until there's only one person with health standing or didn't deck out, so to speak, and that person is the winner. There are alternate game modes, by the way, in case you're curious. For example, there is one where you actually don't have a life limit, but it's just after who deals the most damage after 4 rounds. So that one is just an all-out brawl and just trying to hit as many people as you can.
Yeah, they're also in the works on a tournament mode, so eventually you'll be able to, bring your personal favorite fighter, perhaps, and compete in one of those.
Speaking of favorite, one of the other core sets is actually all level 99 characters. The idea behind this will be crossover characters, so I can only assume that also means Shovel Knight would somehow find a way in here.
Shovel Knight's going to get into this game eventually. It's pretty much a guarantee at this point. If this doesn't look familiar to you yet, I will say it's definitely heavily inspired by the Super Smash Brothers series. That's very much what the kind of feel they were going for, that platform fighter style video game, but now in a board game. It definitely has that style, and I think all the core stuff that you would want and expect from that type of game, they got locked down here. You have, I guess you could play without items. You could be really hardcore if you want, but
oh no, I'm happy that's a core thing here. I love being the jerk who keeps grabbing the swords and
built into the rules are certainly the items, the hazards, all that wacky stuff. And we have just seen these 4 fighters, but there's definitely a lot of variation between them, whether it's close range, long range, even stuff like this guy actually uses items to power up his attacks.
He really likes them. He is running around grabbing them. He will take them from you.
Yeah, so they all feel pretty different. I think there's just like a fighting video game, there's a lot of opportunity to make these guys feel different.
There's going to be tons of characters, so you can really find the one, whether it is because you just like someone who wields a sword, or if you're like, this goes more towards my play style. Speaking of which, by the way, at least for the characters we've seen so far, they seem to play much more aggressive. They do not want people to turtle, which unfortunately is my usual strategy.
Yeah.
So hiding in here won't be probably the best thing. You're going to want to try to get those hits in.
Yeah, the fact that, again, you'll lose if your deck runs through twice, and most of these characters, you have defense cards, but you are definitely meant to be getting out there and hitting each other before the game is over. I also think the drop function is kind of interesting the way it works, because there's no rule about hovering in midair. On your turn, you could go here and be floating, but especially with more players, you run the risk of an environment card coming out and dropping you off the board. So there's a very interesting, I said it kind of feels like Smash Brothers in slow motion. That is sort of what it is. Like, you have the 2 characters in midair trading blows with each other, and then maybe these 2 guys are over here, and then they'll probably drop down, and who knows what happens, and items are spawning around. It's a very unique way of implementing those concepts, but I think it all feels right the way they did it.
I really enjoy the system of having characters in boxes. It makes it easy to divvy out. By the way, for both the stages and the characters, they give a randomization card. So if you're the kind of person who likes to do that, easily can be implemented. Just pick this is the stage we're using, and these are the characters that are going to be available.
Yeah.
So that makes that is another nice thing, especially once you've played enough, you're like, oh, just give me a random person. The idea of the way it expands, and this is Smash Brothers. One of the reasons we love it is that it celebrates a wide variety of mostly Nintendo characters, and this, I think, has a similar feeling. I'm at least hopefully excited that they may be able to increase their character roster, so to speak.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of very cool potential for this game. Again, it's 2 to 4 players, and a match should take 30 minutes or so, maybe even less, depending on how familiar you are with and how aggressively you play, perhaps. And if you're really interested in the game, other than checking out the Kickstarter link below, we are also going to have a more in-depth how to play video. so you can really get the full rundown of all the nitty-gritty rules, as well as our own playthrough video. So if you actually want to see this game in action, check out the description. We'll put a link to where you can actually see us giving the game a whirl and see how it plays as well.
Jonathan and I will go head to head to see who can come out in this clash. I was about to say this brawl or melee, but no, this one's a clash.
It's a clash. It's an Iconoclash, and this is the Castle Clash set. Check out the Kickstarter page to see, of course, what maybe some of the more final components are going to look like and any other sets that they have available, other fighters for you to take a look at. And let us know in the comments what you think about it. You got any ideas about this game? What board game character are you hoping might make an appearance? Otherwise, thanks for watching. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
And this was Roll for Crit. Do us a favor, like this video, subscribe to our channel, or if you really like us, you can support us on Patreon. Become a high roller today for exclusive bonus content. We also have a podcast now. You can check that out at rollforcrit.com/podcast. Weekly episodes with special guests you definitely want to listen to. Have a more in-depth how to play video so you can really get the full rundown of all the nitty-gritty rules, as well as our own playthrough video. So if you actually want to see this game in action, check out the description. We'll put a link to where you can actually see us giving the game a whirl and see how it plays as well.
Jonathan and I will go head to head to see who can come out in this clash. I was about to say this brawl or melee, but no, this one's a clash.
It's a clash. It's an Iconoclash, and this is the Castle Clash set. Check out the Kickstarter page to see, of course, what maybe some of the more final components are going to look like and any other sets that they have available, other fighters for you to take a look at. And let us know in the comments what you think about it. You got any ideas about this game? What board game character are you hoping might make an appearance?
You can go back to our old video about Smash Bros. Maybe the Ticket to Ride train is gonna come into the station.
That could be what's going to happen. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
And this was Roll for Crit.